Atoms are a very interesting topic. See, they're the building blocks of everything in the entire universe, meaning they can be found anywhere, including the Minecraft void. Probably. I don't know. It's Minecraft. Atoms are built up of three things. The protons, which are represented by the red wall, which have a positive charge. Electrons, represented by the yellow wall, which have a negative charge. And neutrons, which are represented by the purple wall, which have a neutral charge. Trage? What the heck is trage? What's a trage? I think I spelled that wrong. For an atom to be stable, trage is... darn it! Here we have a model of the atom. I don't know what kind of atom this is. I was just using it to show the placement of the electrons, neutrons, and protons in the atom. One interesting fact about atoms is that they can be found everywhere. I already said that. One interesting fact about atoms is that they are mostly made up of empty space. But when you hit your head against the wall doesn't seem like empty space to you, does it? No, of course. But it doesn't feel like empty space because the electrons in the atom of the wall and your head are constantly moving. And when they come into contact, they repel each other because they have like charge. They're both negatively charged, so they repel each other like magnets. Usually, it's followed by lots of pain. Another interesting fact about atoms is its amazing design. Of course, it was designed by the creator God, and it's a good thing that he created it, because only he's perfect. And these atoms, they were created perfectly, or else they would not function the right way. See, for an atom to exist, there must be neutrons, like I said before. An atom consists of neutrons, protons, and electrons. And the electrons orbit the neutrons and protons. Many nuclear chemistry experiments indicate that the neutron must be bigger and more massive, have more mass than the proton, or it would not exist. These experiments indicate that if the mass was different by just 0.2%, all the neutrons would decay into protons. Here, I've built a more accurate model of the atom, where the neutron is bigger than both the protons and the electrons. Now, the mass of an electron is very important for the existence of life. Electrons, they whirl around the atom in orbitals. The mass of the electron is what the size of the orbitals depends on. So, if the mass of the electron was smaller, then the orbital would be smaller. Same if it's bigger. If the electron was high in mass, was very massive, then the orbital would be larger. The protons and the electrons in an atom are both oppositely charged. Protons are positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. So they have to have equal charges or else the atom would pull apart. There has to be the same amount of protons, positive charge, as there is the electron's negative charge, or else the atom would fling apart. These two parts of the atom are what's keeping it completely together. Calculations indicate that if the charges were off by as little as 0.000000001%, every single atom in our body would instantaneously explode. Here's something I'm sure you didn't know. Protons are actually made up of smaller particles called quarks. This makes them a lot different from electrons because there has been no smaller particles because there have been no smaller particles found that make up electrons. So it's amazing that they can be perfectly balanced to keep this atom together but be completely different. A super important thing to remember about atoms is that they are the simplest building blocks of matter. Even though they're so simple, they have so many delicately balanced parts that work together to make it work in harmony. If even one of these parts were slightly altered, then the delicate balance would be destroyed, and life as we know it would not exist.